We are live. Welcome to another Gringo Nation live stream. It's been a while, quite a while since my last live stream. And I've done a few live streams alone since, well, my last live streams were kind of alone and I had some special guests. And today I have a really special guest. Guess who's back?
It's me.
Nicki Post from Nicki Post Travel Stuff. Great to have you back, Nicki.
Thanks, Gangster.
Yeah, so Nikki and I have been apart now for about a year. I ended up, doing some traveling. I ended up back in Brazil. And then recently I flew from Sao Paulo, Brazil, my hometown, to Lima, Peru, because I actually had a wedding in Arequipa. Shout out to Nick and Maria. And I decided that after that wedding, I would do a whole lot of traveling on a very tight budget. And I'm going to try to hit all the countries in South and Central America, maybe like in the next year. So hopefully that works out for me. And yeah, so it's just kind of starting off here in Peru. And Nikki's going to talk a little about how she got here.
Yeah, so as you know, Gringo and I had traveled together. Oh, bye. Hello, bye. We met in Georgia 2 years ago. We traveled together for about a year in Georgia and then 3 months in Turkey, and then we kind of went our separate ways to do different traveling. I was back in the States for a few months. I was in Mexico. I visited friends in Canada, so I was kind of all over the place for several months. But in Argentina, in January, I decided to go back to Argentina, a country that I love. And I haven't been there for several years. So I finally went back and I've been living in Argentina for the very beginning of this year, the first several months. And then when Gringo told me he was going to Peru, I was like, I've never been. Let's do Machu Picchu together. And so then our ideas just started coming together. We started making plans. So then I flew from Cordoba, Argentina, where I was living, to Arequipa. I was there for a week, and then I arrived to Cusco about 2 weeks before he arrived. So yeah, so now we've been in Cusco together for about 2 weeks.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
About 2 weeks, and we just finished the Salcantay trek to Machu Picchu.
Hey, Rob, nice to have you here. Of course, thank you so much for all the help you're always offering me. And you are asking how long we are traveling together this time. Well, maybe not as much as you'd think.
No, unfortunately, not as much as before.
Nikki's leaving on Thursday, I believe.
Yep. I'm going to Lima and then back to Argentina.
Yeah, and I'm just continuing my journey on to Ecuador and then Colombia. So just about a week left, or less than a week left. So today we are going to talk about our first impressions of Peru.
Yeah, and just really quickly, we want to say too, if you have any questions at all while we're talking, feel free to type those questions. We won't be able to get to them right away, but we do have a Q&A section at the end. So we'll respond to all of your questions at the end.
Perfect. Okay, so our first impressions of Peru. Nikki has actually been here a little longer than I have, so maybe she has some more impressions than I do.
Well, only by a week or two.
Yeah. But we made a list of our impressions put together, and we are going to go through that list right now. So we're going to be starting off with altitude. Now, altitude has been a big problem for me, and I must admit, whenever I thought about altitude in Peru or La Paz in Bolivia or whatever, I always thought that maybe you'd have a little it'd be a little hard to breathe, a little shortness of breath, but then if you're walking, you just kind of stop and regain your breath and you can kind of continue on. And let me tell you, it's been so much worse than that for me. I had all of the symptoms you could possibly imagine. It really felt like a fever. I had really bad shakes. Nikki is here to
attest to that. It's true.
I had really bad nausea,
diarrhea.
Yeah, the diarrhea was definitely the worst. I was going to the bathroom 10 times a day, no exaggeration. So it was just really, really bad. And I didn't think I would be able to do the Salcantay trek because you're just walking through the jungle and the mountains and valleys for 5 days. How are you going to do that if you're going to the bathroom 10 times a day?
Yeah, he kept saying, if I don't feel better by tomorrow, I don't think I can go.
Yeah.
If I don't feel
Try
better
to
by
get
tomorrow.
out of it.
Yeah.
But ultimately, what we ended up doing was going to the pharmacy. I got an anti-diarrhea pill, which actually just saved my whole trek because what it did is it essentially just dries up your whole body. So then I quickly realized that I wouldn't be going to the bathroom for days because then my body was so dry. So I had the opposite problem. So it did take me a while to get back into the swing of things. But about 3 days later, I started going to the bathroom again, and all the symptoms eventually died off.
Yeah, but you had a headache every day. You were
had a
taking
headache every
paracetamol the
day.
whole trip.
Yeah, I was taking paracetamol always. I guess what I would say is altitude sickness is not a joke. If you think that you're going to be running any risks of having it, there's pills that you can take before you arrive to higher altitude. So I would definitely tell people to do that.
I, on the other hand, didn't experience any altitude sickness at all. Like, I'm from Boulder, Colorado, so it's already a very high altitude. It's like, I think around 1,600 meters ish high. So maybe my body's just like adjusted from growing up there. But I arrived at Arequipa first, which was good because it's lower than Cusco. Didn't experience anything. I even climbed like a massive volcano up to like 6,000 meters. And it was hard, but I didn't feel altitude effects really. I had like a slight headache and that was kind of it. And since arriving to Cusco, absolutely nothing. Feel normal. I felt completely fine on the trek. So when he first arrived, he was like, Sao Paulo's really high too.
And we looked turns out Sao Paulo is 900 meters. So not too high at all.
Not the same.
That's where I kind of grew up. And I think even California obviously is not
sea
too
level,
high either.
Yeah.
So Nicki grew up in a higher altitude. She did not feel it as much. So just be aware that if you're not used to higher altitudes, you may have problems.
Yeah.
Please take the pills before you arrive. It will really help you out.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Yeah. Moving on.
All right. Number 2. So many Germans.
There are so many. Like, it's crazy. I haven't noticed as many in Cusco, but in Arequipa, literally every single person I was meeting was German. All the people at the hostel, German. On the Colca Canyon trip, German. Everyone German.
Yeah, and I was, coincidence or not, during my time in Lima, I stayed at a hostel, and the 2 people I hung out with more were Germans. And there's Germans all over the place, and that's for a variety of reasons. One of them being that they have a good economy, so they're able to travel a lot. So you just see them all over the place. Other reasons?
It's not like a good or a bad thing. It's just like wow, there's a lot of Germans. Every person is German.
Yeah.
You're tourist, every tourist.
And also, I guess Germans really like to do hiking and things like that. Maybe because
they like nature, so it's a good nature place.
Yeah, so I feel like Peru can be a great place for Germans, but you might be running into a lot of Germans if you're German, and I know that's not exactly what we always want. We want to meet people from other cultures and nationalities and countries. I'm going to take this opportunity to apologize for any dog sounds because there is just a crazy dog outside our window. And I've been having to teach with that dog.
And his owners are bad. His owners just watch him as he goes crazy and they don't do anything.
All right. We're moving on to number 3, which is a big one. Peruvian food. Well, what can I say? Peru has a big rep for being a country with really good food.
Yeah, it's famous around the world.
Famous around the world for ceviche and all other types of food. And I feel like, it's for a good reason. During my time in Lima, I had some pretty amazing food, especially a restaurant in Lima called Al Toque Pez, which was featured on a Netflix doc. And I went there on one of my videos if you want to check that out later. And they give you like a combinado, a dish with like 3 different types of food. So it's ceviche, rice, like seafood rice, and chicharron, which is like pork belly, deep fried pork belly. And that was really fantastic.
Yeah, and there's so many varieties, a variety of things and different foods. Like a lot of times when you're traveling, I'm not a vegetarian, but a lot of people are, and so when you're traveling, it can be really difficult to like find vegetarian or vegan places. And I found that in Peru, there's anything you want. There's a ton of vegan, ton of vegetarian restaurants in both Arequipa and in Cusco, and then there's like a huge range of prices. Like you can go to like more expensive restaurants that are more catered to tourism, but delicious. You can go to menu restaurants, which are like standard Peruvian restaurants. So you pay a set price, like, well, in Lima, the price you said is like around 12 or 14, 15 soles, which is around like $4 or $5. In Arequipa, well, it's like 8, and then in Cusco, it's been like 6 or 7. So it's like $1.50 for a set menu, and you get a first, which is usually a soup, and then a second, which is like a chicken breast or a main dish,
with rice, beans, and salad.
Yeah, always with sides, and a juice, which is like a chicha morada usually. And then all the way down to street food. So we just went yesterday and ate a ton of street food, like a ton of things for a total of 12 soles, so like $4. So you have every option.
Yeah, and I tried chicha morada for the first time, a typical Peruvian drink made from purple corn. They have all sorts of corns and potatoes here, so they make that drink out of purple corn, and it's really refreshing, and it's really cheap. You can get it anywhere you go in Peru.
Yeah, we got one on the street yesterday for 1 sole.
Yeah, and it was actually 2 cups for 1 sole, which was an incredible price. Yeah, so in general, Peruvian food has just been really great. The menu foods that Nicki was talking about are not actually like that different from Brazilian food. So, which is great. I'm used to eating that food and I can get it for cheap here, so that was great. There are some things we thought were weird, like the Peruvian bananas. Not a big fan.
Oh, they're disgusting. They taste like bananas that should only be cooked.
Yeah.
Exactly. There's like plátanos and bananas, and like they need to just be cooked, and that's it.
Yeah, they're kind of sour and hard. It's not that type of banana that you open and just have it as a snack. Like either use it for cooking or put it in a smoothie or something. Don't be eating plátanos, Peruvian bananas, unless you're really into it. I'm not.
No.
But yeah, and actually we were gonna try guinea pig for the first time today, but now we had reserved a spot at a restaurant, but we forgot we're doing this live.
Whoops.
So we can't eat guinea pig today, but we're probably going to be eating it tomorrow, and it's going to be featured in our next food videos on my channel and on her channel.
Yeah, we actually both have food videos coming out in the next couple of weeks, so stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we're doing the food videos first, and then we're going to start releasing all the Machu Picchu and the Salcantay Trek videos. So stay tuned for that. Anything else about Peruvian food?
I don't know. I mean, it's just delicious. It's really good. It's really good. You can always find
for
something.
good reason. Okay.
Oh, what we wanted to say is palta, which is avocado. It grows everywhere here. It's really cheap. They put avocado in everything, and we love it.
Yeah, and you can get it for really cheap as well. Like there's always some ladies selling avocado outside the market. So yeah, I mean, avocado, the more the merrier.
Yeah, we always have it in the fridge.
Mucha palta.
Yeah.
All right. Rob, it's great to have the dynamic duo back together. Thank you so much, Rob.
I hope the producers of The Amazing Race agree, because we want to apply.
We're thinking of applying to The Amazing Race. Oh, hey, Hughes.
Oh, wow, it's been so long.
It's been a while. Nice to see you. Yeah, cool. Yeah, so we're thinking of applying to The Amazing Race. I guess we need to record our
we need to do
videos. That. Okay. Number 4, we're going to talk about the cocktails here in Peru. Of course, you have the world famous pisco sour.
But there's a ton of variations.
Thanks to Rob for helping out. We had some pisco sours in your name, and there's tons of variations. We had a
maracujá, which is passion fruit
pisco sour. Nicki
I had a cactus sour. So when I was in Arequipa, I did a trip to Colca Canyon, and I had like a colca sour, which is made with cactus, and that was really good.
Yeah, there's also one called, if I'm not mistaken, chilcano, and that's made with like pisco and ginger ale and lemon. And I haven't tried that one yet, but I'm really looking forward to it. And there's just tons of cocktails. Of course, you can have a pisco with Coca-Cola. Make sure you call it a Peru Libre. At the wedding I went to, I called it a Piscola, which is what they call it in Chile, and the bartender was not happy. He said, in Peru, you call it a Peru Libre.
Yeah,
So,
because there's apparently a war between Chile and Peru
Yeah,
for
big
who
rivalry.
invented the pisco.
That's right. And well, you can have the pisco with just about anything. And it's a drink I love when I have it, but it's not one I pursue too much.
Yeah, I wouldn't pursue it. But the other thing is that actually surprised me. I didn't expect this, but there are a ton of breweries here and craft beer places. Like if you just walk around Cusco, you'll see a ton. I found some good ones in Arequipa. Even up in Aguascalientes, like every place had craft beer, and I love beer, so that was amazing.
Yeah, we've
but
had
that
some pretty
surprised
good
me.
ones.
Yeah, we've had really good ones.
Yeah, of course, I think that comes with the tourism industry. Like, the more
Yeah.
tourists you have, the more craft beer you need to sell.
Right. But also, it's like taking the world by storm, so it makes sense.
Exactly. But yeah, there are many great craft beers around here in Peru.
hmm
So there's probably tons of other cocktails we haven't tried yet.
Yeah.
So
But we do want to try the chicha beer because it's
Right,
the beer that's made from corn. And
yeah,
apparently, if you look for a place that has a red plastic flag out front, it means they have the corn beer. So we're keeping our eye out for that.
yeah. And I just want to take the opportunity to say, if you guys want to drop any comments about where you're thinking of traveling to, or what your travel plans are in the near future, when we get to the Q&A section, we can try to give you some tips on any of that. So feel free to drop comments about where you're traveling to. All right, we are moving on to number 5, which is people are chill.
Yeah.
Yeah, chilcanos.
Super tranqui.
Yeah. I guess everywhere we've been in Peru, people have been just really relaxed, very
Yeah.
nice, you know.
Sometimes when you travel to places, you just get the feeling that people are taking advantage of you or trying to cheat you, or things just feel really kind of chaotic. And Peru doesn't feel that way. Everything feels really relaxed. Like I never feel scared. I never feel like there's a threat or anything. And I never feel like anyone's trying to rip me off. I mean, taxi drivers at the airport, of course, because that happens in the whole world. And then the only time besides taxi drivers was yesterday. We were eating street food and like going around and trying all these different things. And everything was like 2 soles, 1 sole, super cheap. And then we were like, oh, let's try this gelatin thing. So we went to go try the gelatin thing. And I asked how much it was. And the woman was like, 12. And I was like, 12? Like we spent 12 soles on everything combined. And she was trying to charge me 12 soles for 1 cup of Jello.
It's just a little like plastic cup of Jello. So
yeah. And I was like, no. And I was like, that's not true. Like I was speaking to her in Spanish and I was like, that's not true. And she was just like,
yeah. So yeah, I mean,
that's it.
Nicki had some, maybe some bad experience with taxi drivers. I didn't even really have that. Like all the taxi drivers were quite fair to me. And it seems like when people come up and talk to you, like they're just being really genuine. They're not trying to sell you anything. They just kind of want to know where you're from and just kind of have a chat with you. And even like waiters and waitresses at restaurants.
Super friendly. The service is really good here.
The service
sometimes
is really good.
Too good.
Yeah.
Like I went to a restaurant once and like every 2 bites they'd be like, how is everything? It's great. Do you need anything? I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. I think they asked me like at the end I was having a cappuccino and they came twice to be like, everything okay? I'm like, still okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
And Rob said corn beer. It sounds almost healthy.
well,
I don't need
to believe that.
I don't need a great excuse to start drinking. So if it's almost healthy, that's good enough for me.
Yeah, get our vegetables.
Yeah, and I guess on the while we're on the subject of people, we wanted to also say that people walk kind of slowly in Peru.
Yeah, like extremely slowly. And honestly, like I'm the one who noticed that, and that like it's serious when I say people walk slowly because I walk incredibly slowly. Like I like a good stroll. I like to take my time. And even when I'm strolling here, I'm constantly like going around people. I swear they're all walking in slow motion.
Yeah, and for me, I guess like I walk really, really fast all over the world. Doesn't matter where I am. So for me, people walk slowly everywhere in the world, and I'm always trying to get past them. But yeah, I guess I could see how people walk a little more slowly here. But I think that goes together with like people are just really chill.
Yeah.
And they're just going about their day and doing their things. They're not like rush all the time.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm used to that because I'm from Sao Paulo, so people are just rushing everywhere.
Yeah, but that was one of the first things that stood out to me because, like, I don't walk fast. And I was like, why am I passing all these people? Like, why am I getting so annoyed that I have to, like, constantly going around and I'm not walking fast?
So I mean, that's just a general curiosity.
Yeah. So if you're Peruvian, let us know why you think everyone walks so slowly.
All right. We are moving on to number 7, which is Lima is gray. Now, I've been to Lima and Nicki has not been yet. That's just kind of the impression I got. I know it's really foggy. It's kind of like San Francisco in a way because you have a really cold current. And of course, Lima is right next to the ocean. So I guess that cold current makes the fog like come up into the city a lot. And I don't know if that's the reason why it's gray all the time, but I was there for like 4 or 5 days and there just wasn't any like really sunny day where I felt like, woohoo, I'm happy to be alive today, you know?
Apparently he's not happy to be alive in fog.
But I know that people that live in London, like it's just kind of gray all the time and it really affects the way you feel. So I don't know if I could really live in a city like Lima if it's just gray all the time, because I think eventually it would affect my mood and my personality and things like that. So that's just a general observation I made like during the time I was there. I don't know if it's like that all the time. Any Peruvians can feel free to comment on that. And I guess Nicki doesn't have much to say on that subject, but you can talk about the weather, what you've thought of the weather so far in Peru, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, so far, I'm actually surprised how warm it is during the day because, I mean, in South America, it's now May, so it should be like becoming winter. It should be fall, getting cold. But every day, like at least Arequipa and Cusco, it's super warm in the day and totally blue skies. Like it's beautiful, beautiful day. It doesn't feel like fall. But the mornings and the evenings are very, very cold.
Yeah, and one thing I will say as well is that it seems like not a lot of apartments here in Peru have either insulated windows or general heating like in the apartments. And that's not just because I'm staying at like cheap places, because my friends in Arequipa were staying at like a 5-star hotel and it didn't have heating, which is crazy.
But all the windows that I've seen in Peru are all the same. Same in this Airbnb, same in the other hostel, like same in places that I see around. And it's just like 2 sliding pieces of glass. And then they have like this little like cylinder that sort of like pops in a hole to keep the doors closed. So there's actually a lot of air moving through the 2 panes of glass.
Yeah, and also that means that when you're inside, the apartment's really, really cold. Like we're always wearing sweaters and blankets and things like that. But then you go outside and the sun is shining and you're like, I don't know what to do with this sweater.
Yeah.
Peru is definitely one of those countries where you don't know what to do with your clothes when you're on the street. You're like, oh, in the shade you're cold, and then you put on a sweater, and then in the sun you're hot, you take it off.
Like right now we're freezing and this apartment is so cold. And then we go outside with our jackets and it's super hot and sunny. So then you're like, oh, well,
it gets
warmer
confusing
outside
sometimes. Yeah. Oh, look who it is. Lindsay Post.
It's my sister. Fun fact from Paulo. Flamengo won the Libertadores Cup final in Peru.
Well,
that doesn't mean anything to me.
Fun fact for Paulo is that Palmeiras beat Flamengo last time they were in the Libertadores Cup final.
We've got a Palmeiras fan over here.
But yes, that is true.
Hopefully Paulo's not a Corrientes fan.
Corinthians. Yeah.
Corinthians.
Well,
Desculpe.
Well, welcome, Lindsay. Thank you for joining us.
Lindsay and Paulo.
And Paulo, yes.
Lindsay's my sister, by the way.
Yeah, it's Nicki's sister. All right, I guess while we're on the subject of weather, we're going to be talking about dry air. It is dry season in Peru right now, and boy, I can definitely feel it.
Yeah, like when you blow your nose, you notice it.
Yeah,
it's just nasty in there.
Your nose is just really dry all the time, and one of the moments I look most forward to in the day is when I can just blow my nose and get all those like hard boogers out, you know? But yeah, it's just in general really dry. Like we have to hydrate a lot.
Yeah, and like during my first week, within that first week, I went to like on a trip to like Volcano Misty. I hiked up to Volcano Misty. So of course, when you're really high, it's like windy, so you're constantly blowing your nose. So that's what I thought, it was just that at the very beginning, but then it never went away. And I just had this like really raw nose and like really dry, flaky nose from blowing my nose all the time when I first got here.
Yeah, and also I don't know if this is related to the altitude or the dry season or both together, but sometimes it's really hard to sleep, especially when we were like hiking and stuff, because if you breathe through your nose, you feel your nose getting really dry, and if you breathe through your mouth, you feel the roof or the roof, right?
With the roof of your
Like the
mouth?
top of your mouth,
Yeah.
yeah, the roof of your mouth getting really dry. So you're like, well, I don't know how to breathe right now and how to sleep. So yeah, gets pretty confusing. But dry air, maybe in the wet season it is better. But
Yeah, that comes in like a month or so. Our guide on the Salcantay trek said that during the wet season, it's just like super wet. Like we were walking on certain paths that had like maybe like small streams of water going through. And he said that in the rainy season, first of all, the river is super high and like really wide, it covers the whole canyon, crosses the whole canyon. But also when you're walking, you're just walking through mud and streaming water
yeah.
because it's raining all the time.
Yeah, and I also wanted to say that after this live, or in a few hours, we're going to be doing a live on Nicki's channel called Nicki Posts Travel Stuff. And there we're going to be talking about our whole Salcantay trek, walking for 5 days up to Machu Picchu. So I do have the link to that live stream in the description of this live stream. So
come on over.
That's going to be in about an hour and a half. Okay. We're moving on to number 9. This one really has gotten us ticked off lately.
Yeah, this is really testing her patience.
Peruvian plugs is what we're calling this section.
They're so bad.
Yeah, and when we say plugs, we mean like the outlets in
like
the walls,
electrical
plugs in the walls. Basically.
So they're the 2-prong system, which is the same that Argentina has, and it's the same that I think Europe has.
Yeah, and that's normal. Like I'm used to that.
Right.
But the problem is once you stick it in, it just kind of goes like kind of limp.
Yeah, it's like the hole is this big or this big, and then the prong is this big. So when it goes in, it just sort of falls out because it's not tight enough, you know? It's insane. Like you can't just plug it into the wall. You have to stack up books and then plug in your plug and then start putting like tiny things under the plug to like hold it in place and hold it up, because otherwise it will not charge.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't want to make this comparison, but it's almost like sexual in a way, you know, when you know there's just not enough to hold or to have the pleasure, you know. Yeah. I don't know if you get it.
Like, I think I get
it. But basically, like, yeah, it's just really hard and to charge your things. And this has happened like all over the place. Like, I think the only place it didn't happen to me was the hostel in Lima. But it was definitely like that in Arequipa. It's like that here.
Yeah, and not even all the plugs charge. And like there's even plugs in random places like up high on the wall. And you're like, how can I plug that in? Because it doesn't stay. Like, what's the even point of having it like more than halfway up on the wall?
But I don't even know that there's a way around it. There's really no tips we could give on that, because I have like an adapter that usually helps me out with that kind of stuff. But once I stick the adapter in, the same thing happens where it kind of falls out. So
yeah,
if Peruvians have any comments on why that is, I'd love to know.
Yeah, you just have to be prepared to stack your books.
Baya said, I'll have to watch the Machu Picchu trek live recorded. It's getting late here in Tbilisi. Well, we understand perfectly, and we appreciate so much you being on this one.
Yeah, madloba, Baya.
Madloba, and we miss Tbilisi so much, or I do at least.
I don't miss it that much, but I do miss the food.
Yeah. But I know it's probably very different nowadays with the war and things like that. So.
I just gonna try.
Okay. So we're moving on from Peruvian plugs. The next one is foreigners stick out.
Yeah.
Well, let me say that I stick out much more once, I'm hanging around with this one. With the fair skin and the blue eyes. Because I can kind of be like,
Spanish is better than yours.
That's true. But I can be more of a chameleon in a lot of places.
Yeah, but less so in Peru.
Less so in Peru, because of course they have
like so much native
influences and things like that.
But like when I'm in Argentina, I just walk through the street, like I blend in. I don't stand out at all. I mean, maybe they think like, oh, she looks different, she dresses different or something, but it's not the same here. It's like when you walk through the street, you're a tourist. And I think part of that is that so many places in Peru are so over touristed. Like Cusco is majorly over touristed. Arequipa is kind of there as well. It's like it's so obvious who the foreigners are, which is kind of a weird feeling sometimes because you just can't be anonymous. You can't just go about your day. It's like everyone looks at you. You just stand out super clearly.
Yeah, and even like Cusco obviously is one of the most touristy cities in Peru because of Machu Picchu. In a way, that's almost nice because then at least we can like split the attention with other tourists.
Yeah, that's true.
But yeah, I mean, we're kind of used to sticking out in a lot of places. I guess in Peru it's no different, but
It makes me miss Argentina.
it's a little worse because of all their native influence. It's just really easy for them to see who the foreigners are. Okay. Next one. People let you speak Spanish.
Yeah. So this is like a phenomenon that happens whenever you travel. It's like when I'm in Italy and I speak Italian, the Italians can tell that I have an accent. So they just automatically start speaking in English. And in Argentina, it happens too. It's like, oh, you're not from here. So let me speak in English to you. And to be honest, when people do that, it's super insulting because most of the time when they do it, their English is really bad. And so I'm like, do you really think your English is better than my Spanish or my Italian or, whatever language? And I hate it because I'm like, I'm in your country. Like, I'm speaking to you first. Like, yes, I have an accent. Like, stop speaking to me in English. And it's really annoying when people do that. But in Peru, it's like when you speak English to them, when you speak Spanish to them, they just speak Spanish back. Like, they don't even question, like, whatever. If you have an accent, like, that's what they speak to you in. Like, I was even at a restaurant, the girl in front of me in line spoke in English. So the girl spoke to her in English, like perfect English. I was next, spoke in Spanish. She spoke to me perfect Spanish. So it's nice. I appreciate that Peruvians will respond to you, give you a chance and respond to you in the language that you speak to them in.
Yeah, one thing we also have noticed, especially during the hike that we did, is that sometimes you'll speak to them in Spanish, and Spanish is also their second language because they speak Quechua, the native language of Peru.
Yeah.
And as for my Spanish, I've been trying to practice a lot, and they do speak Spanish to me. They don't try to speak English and just kind of get it over with. And of course, maybe sometimes their English isn't that great as well. So it's been really good for me to practice my Spanish, and I hope to continue on this journey.
Yeah, but it is interesting because a lot of people you talk to, you can tell that they have accents speaking in Spanish as well because, they don't learn it until they go to school.
Yeah. And well, that was our last item for our first impressions of Peru. If you guys have any questions, please let us know. Otherwise, we just want to remind you that in about an hour and a half, we're going to be on Nicki's channel to talk about our 5-day hike up to Machu Picchu. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It was definitely one of the hardest experiences of my life.
Yeah.
Tons of blisters and with all the...
I didn't get blisters.
Yeah, well, this experience.
Yeah, but we're going to be going over like what happened on each day of the hike, what we packed, what like tour guides, tour companies, what to expect, money, things like that. So if you have any desire at all to go to Machu Picchu or to do the trek to Machu Picchu, definitely watch the video because we're going to be giving a lot of information.
Yeah, and we're going to be releasing quite a few videos about Machu Picchu.
Yeah, we'll do a number of them, yeah.
Rob says, love the food videos. More, please. The cheap local food has me salivating. Yeah, well, we definitely got a lot of footage yesterday with a lot of cheap local food. And what's cool is that, even though we're kind of going to the same places and getting the same footage, we're really like making different videos and different edits and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of variety on Nicki's channel and on my channel. Yeah. If you guys want to join us for Nicki's live stream about Machu Picchu, that's going to be in an hour and a half. And the link to that live is in the description of this video. And that's about it, guys. If you don't have any more questions, then we're going to leave you here. And we'll see you in about an hour and a half on Nicki's channel. Nicki posts travel stuff. If you just want to quickly talk about like why you started your channel, what it's about. Or something.
Yeah, sure. So I actually have experience like with video and video editing. I went to film school several years ago, but I didn't I never it never crossed my mind to have a YouTube channel, like, because I never used to use YouTube as like a tool for information. And so then when I met Gringo in Georgia and we started traveling around in Georgia together, I was like helping him film a lot and I really liked it. And I was like, man, I could do this. Like, this is really fun.
If this guy can do it,
He can do it. I can do it. No, I just really liked it because I'm like, I've been traveling like since before YouTube existed, since before Instagram existed. So like, I guess in my mind, like I think more analog about travel. And those tools never existed. So I just like started out traveling without them. And then suddenly they're here. And I'm like, oh, I could help other people travel. I could like show my travels and just have it for a memory for myself. Like, yeah, I just was like, I like what you're doing. So, right before we went separate ways after Turkey, I started a channel. And so I have some videos about Canada, some about the US, some about Mexico, but mainly, well, Peru here. But I have a ton of videos about Argentina because it's where I've been spending most of my time lately. And yeah, I love Argentina. So, if you like Argentina too, come watch my videos.
Yeah, and you can start by watching our live stream on Nicki's channel in about an hour and a half. The link is in the description of this video. And I think we're going to end this one here, guys. I hope we've helped you get a better idea of what Peru is like. Those were our first impressions of Peru. Of course, they might change, over time. But yeah, that's what we've thought of Peru so far.
Yeah. Yeah. So, and if you think of more questions, you can also ask us on the next live as well.
Yeah, or just leave a comment on this video later.
Yeah.
And that's going to be it. Oh, Diane Gregg.
Oh, what does it say?
It says,
hello from Mississauga, Toronto, Canada. Oh, yeah. Hello. I was in Toronto in September.
I'm wondering if this is if she's related to the Jet Lag Warriors at all. Let me know if you're related to the Jet Lag Warriors at all. And shout out to the Jet Lag Warriors, who I had the pleasure of showing around Sao Paulo.
And I think Mississauga has that brewery, right? You guys have a good brewery there, I think.
Yeah. Okay, well, Diane, thank you so much for joining us. You can always go back and replay the video if you have any curiosities.
Jet Lag Warriors' mom, yeah. Cute.
Yeah, Diane, I was always seeing you in the comments.
Yeah,
I believe you're Steve's mom, and
yeah, I saw the video when they surprised you.
And I really liked the video where you had some Brazilian food because I had the pleasure of showing them around Brazil. And that Brazilian food actually looked really authentic in Toronto. So if I'm ever in the neighborhood, I'm going to be going there to give my 2 cents on the Brazilian food. But thank you so much for joining us, Diane. And if you want to see more, we're going to be on Nicki's channel. The link is in the description of this video. We're going to be there in about an hour and a half.
Oh, how sweet.
To talk about our 5-day hike to Machu Picchu. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to leave you here.
Bye.
Much love.
Thank you.
See you in an hour and a half on Nicki Posts Travel Stuff.